Welcome to
Separate Bathrooms and other handy marriage tips. Hi all, I am Ali Daddo. This is season 2 of Separate Bathrooms. Cameron Daddo.
It is. It's great that you're here with us. Lovely to see your face in our lounge room, honey. We're coming to you live from home.
Aw, thanks. So nice to just chat with you, darling.
Now, let's be honest about this, right?
Yeah.
This is our first episode back.
Yeah.
We've had a few weeks off.
Yep.
And this is not the first time we've pressed record.
No, this is on this particular episode, our first episode back. We've been at this for a few hours now. And,
is it because we're out of practice? Or is it because of this question that we're talking about?
I think maybe it's both. No, I don't think we're out of practice. I mean, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Or one of us is.
You are. I tend to get, well, I don't know, my tech head gets on and my entertainment head goes on.
Look, I actually do think it was the question that was put forth. And it's really also how to deliver what I want to say in short form without me waffling. And I think I wasn't clear enough to be able to speak about what I wanted to say before. So I feel like I'm clearer now. I know we're talking in circles because no one knows what the hell we're talking about.
Well, here's the question. Okay, well, let's just back up a little bit. We put it out there to you, the listener, that you can send us your questions, queries, comments. We opened up a Facebook page, Separate Bathrooms, and we got a great response.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we got, which we've chosen to use today, is how do you maintain your own independence? And I'm laughing because, and sense of identity in a long-term relationship. Alison and I for 28 years, and we're really struggling with this.
And we've been arguing for the past 2 hours about it.
Right? I mean,
I'm kind of antsy about it in a way, I guess.
And getting very irritated.
Oh, man.
I've gone and had a shower.
Yes.
The thing is, okay, I played 18 holes of golf this morning. We've been house hunting. We're in the middle of looking for a new home for the family. And, that's life. That's our life. And we're sitting down now to do our podcast, and it's been a bit of a struggle.
Yep, to say the least.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, first world problems, even less than first world problems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So welcome to season 2.
Oh, thanks. It's good to see you. Season 2, Separate Bathrooms.
Yeah, so we touched on this idea of independence and sense of identity in a long-term relationship. We touched on it in season 1, and now we want to get a little bit deeper with it.
Okay.
How are you feeling about it? Now that we've had a crack at it, we basically went in 15 minutes, and then we've stopped, and now we've come back to the beginning again.
Yeah. How am I feeling about that question?
Yeah. How do you maintain your own independence and sense of identity in a long-term relationship?
Right. And this is, yes. So this is what I was attempting to say before we had to delete everything, is that I didn't maintain my sense of independence, I feel, because I fell into the trap of putting your needs and the kids' needs well above my own. And I feel like that is key number 1 for maintaining a sense of independence, that my needs need to be just as important as the kids' needs and your needs. And that's where I started to lose myself. And that's part of my people-pleasing identity and, making sure everything's okay at home and sacrificing this and making sure this is okay. So that all wound up to, in the end, going, okay, well, what do I want? And what am I allowed to do? And everything that I had created by putting myself so low on my list of priorities. So I think that is a huge key in how to maintain your sense of independence in a relationship.
Okay. And see, where I struggled before in this pre-recording of what we did was, I guess I started getting all theoretic. And for me, when I was a little kid, my mum put me in the sandbox a lot. and I was alone a lot, and I had to learn how to entertain myself and just be quite independent. And so this is where I'm different to you, honey, because I feel like I mean, you might beg to differ here, but I feel like I am still quite independent in our relationship, and I've been able to maintain my sense of identity through doing the things that I like to do. And I never had a problem in saying to you that I actually need to go surfing, or I need to go and play golf with my mates, which
this is where we've had quite a few arguments about this too, because I wasn't doing things for myself. I would do things at home that were creative. I would create things at home, like as in, I would knit, crochet, make wall hangings, whatever. There was things that I would do, though I wouldn't go and leave the kids and go do something on my own. That was a really rare thing that I would do. So, or I wouldn't do. So, and this is where we really came to blows, because I would look at you and
we did come to blows, not physically.
Never physically, no. Where I would look at you and I go, you get to do everything you want to do. You just go, I'm going to go surfing, I'm going to go play golf, I'm going to do this, because I felt someone needed to be home looking after the children. And then when it came to me having the option of doing that, I wouldn't take it, because I felt like I couldn't. I felt like my role was at home. My role was to be there for the kids, 24/7. And so I felt like I couldn't do that. So, whereas you were raised differently, you felt like you could. In fact, you felt like you needed to.
We were encouraged to do it growing up. We were pushed out the door.
Yeah, yes, I was not at all.
And in that, when I was not doing things for myself in our relationship, that's when I felt stifled, and I would go, I need to get out.
Yeah.
And I guess this comes back to when I would do that, and I felt like sometimes you would take it personally. And I said, look, I just want to go. I just want to get some fresh air. I just need to go have an hour, go for a run or whatever. And as you said, I've never stopped you doing and all the things you've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I remember my mum going, go on, you miserable little baskets, get outside, go run around the house 3 times, go off, and she would often say, you've got to push your father out, So I guess it more came from mum.
Yes, and now, yeah, exactly. And now I know to say to you, can you just go for a swim? Could you just go, why don't you go for a walk?
Suck some oxygen.
Because I know when you've hit your limits and you need a reset. Normally it's the ocean that resets you. So now it's like, yeah, go. Yeah, great. Okay, because I know you'll come back and you'll be much more grounded.
Because the need has been met to reset. So is that a word, that word reset, is that something that's going to help people maintain their independence and sense of identity in a long-term relationship?
Yeah, reset themselves, what they need to do in order to reset themselves to be in partnership.
Here's something that while we were on break, I read Mark Manson's blue book. I read his orange one, Everything's, or The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I read his blue book. In fact, I'm rereading his blue book now. And that is Everything is Effed, a book about hope. And he talks about this idea of, I guess, gradual numbing, I suppose, through a long-term relationship or the human experience, that the more we put up with stuff, the more we numb ourselves, the more we accept, rather. We accept things. So it's an amazing book. I can't recommend it more highly. That when we start a relationship, we come in with this very clear sense of identity that of who we are as an individual, and then we get in this long-term relationship and we start to
But do we? Sorry to interrupt you. Do we come in with a sense of I didn't?
well,
That's an assumption.
but you
that you
weren't.
do.
That is an assumption. Okay.
Yeah.
But you were you. You were not in any way tied to me.
Right. I wasn't your girlfriend or fiance or wife.
No, we hadn't sort of melded.
Yeah.
In terms of the Jerry Maguire thing, you complete me.
Yeah.
That part of it hadn't happened. So you were definitely you were in your own silo.
Yeah.
You were in your own sandbox. I was in my own sandbox.
Right.
And then
Trying to get your attention.
right.
Throwing
And
sand
you
at
did
you.
really well. You flick of the hair,
Yes.
turn around, show
All
me your
those
bum.
tools.
Okay, there you go. All good, booty. But it was your sense of humour that really got me. If we want to talk about that. Anyway, I come back to what I was saying. So we were individuals, right? And we had our own way of doing things. Then as, years go by, we get to know each other better. We start accepting things. We start, you compromise, you sacrifice in the relationship. And then in the human way, we forget. We start to lose our identity.
Yeah.
We start to lose who we were when we first met. And I think that's something do you agree with that? And it's something to do is to remember who you are. Like you said to me with menopause, you said, remember who you married. Remember the woman you married, because right now, these hot flushes, these crazy making turns that I'm having.
Yeah.
Remember who I'm not that far away. I know I feel and look whatever. I am a little different. I'm acting differently.
Yeah.
To the woman that you know. And is that the same in a long-term relationship, that we start to sort of forget who we were. And we do change. And that's the beauty of being human too.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, intrinsically, do we forget who we are? Though we go through so many metamorphoses as well in relationship, because that's what relationships do. They challenge us to
change and evolve. Right?
So, I mean, I'm certainly not the same person when I first met you as I am today. There's a lot of different things about me now, I am a size 8 to a size 14.
Yeah, but I love every inch of you. I do.
I have a few more freckles. Thanks, darling. A few more freckles, those sorts of things.
Cut them
Anyway,
off. Burn them off.
There's so many changes that you go through in a long-term relationship. And the best part is if you can evolve together. I think that's when you get a great relationship going. That doesn't necessarily mean evolve into the same person with the same beliefs or anything, though, but you're continuing to evolve together. And I feel also a big one is to be able to keep the passions that you had before you were in a relationship going as well. If you loved to paint before you were married, and then you pack all that away because you've now got to look after kids and, run the home or whatever, and you put those sorts of things aside, I think that's when you start to really lose yourself little bit by little bit. You lose the things that you love to do for yourself, your time on your own.
And you forget.
Yeah.
Right? You forget. You go, I remember I used to play guitar all the time, and now I've just sort of moved away from it. And I guess that's okay to move in and, you creep in and out of habits or whatever you're going to do. But I think it's important to continue to have something.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's important to have, I guess we're talking about independence and your own sense of identity. What about is there a place for shared interests in a long-term relationship? I'm saying it, but of course there is. But at the same time, I think it's important to have your own individual pursuits as well. Would you agree with that?
Both is ideal, for sure. And I think I guess it depends, because I guess it just depends on on how at the end of the day you come back together again. You know, I think there are some couples that have really independent lives, completely different interests, and are so happily married. And then you've got couples that work together, share a home together, have the same interests together, and are really happily married. So I think it's a really individual thing, but that's different again to losing yourself in relationship, because that's a different aspect to all that.
Yeah. We're talking about maintaining your own independence and sense of identity in a long-term relationship.
Yeah. Because I think you can, depending on who you are, you can lose yourself in a short-term relationship as well. You can fall in with other people's ideas and patterns and passions and forget your own very quickly. You know, I think it doesn't even have to be a long-term relationship. I think, like you said, it can become the pattern when you're in a long-term one, and it might just happen a little bit by little bit because you, as you say, you forget.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's really too about knowing who you are, knowing your personality, knowing your quirks, knowing your likes and your dislikes, your hobbies, and you keep those alive.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's funny you mentioned people in short-term relationships, some people who lose their identity in short-term relationships, and I find I've seen a lot of people who I know, especially in the acting world, actresses and actors alike, who get into these very deep, quick relationships and just lose themselves in it, and then suddenly go, oh, nah. Sometimes it happens within a film shoot or a play run or whatever.
Yeah.
These very heavy, deep emotional relationships going on there. I guess it's really what I've experienced myself is just really not having a great sense of self, and you see somebody else who's so bright and shiny and feels like they're evolved. And
You're talking about with actors?
yeah.
Well, yeah, though, isn't it also...
Well, anyone, a lot of creative, not just actors. Could be musicians, could be...
Because acting, I feel like it's in that way in its own little pocket, because when you're acting with someone, you've got to sort of, if you're going to do it well, you kind of have to get emotionally intimate very quickly with someone. So at least that's what I've seen happen, with you, where, she's playing my wife, so I've got to get, and he's playing my best friend, so I've got to get to know them, and they're getting to know me. So it seems like the relationships form very, very quickly, and it's very deep, and then, the end
Show's
comes,
over.
and then it's like, who? Gary who? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to spend a lot of time with you. Used to spend hours with him running lines or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That seems sometimes a little different just by the nature of the beast, though a romantic relationship is something added very, that's a whole other level.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, I suppose just what I'm saying is whether you're single, you're dating, you're married, it's really important to have a good sense of yourself. So you're not acting a part of yourself. You're actually doing you,
Yeah.
You're being you all the time. And it's really important in a long-term relationship to continue to do that and to evolve that, I love reading books like Mark Manson's books. I love reading those sort of books where I'm being challenged to think a little deeper, to understand myself a little deeper, understand the human condition a little deeper. I suppose there's one part for me in our relationship where I...
Oh, you're laughing. What does that mean?
This is where I've lost myself. I'm kind of thinking about this idea, and I guess it's where I'm analysing what you're doing in relationship to me. By that I mean, I'll just give you an example. if I'm texting you, like we've been separated by a job, you know, and I'm sending you a text, and I'll go kiss, kiss, hug, whatever, on at the end of a text, and then you respond to me, and you don't put the kiss in the text. You don't do it, and I'm like, oh my God, what's, you know, my thoughts go to this, like, this negative thoughts going, oh God, she's mad at me, you know, and so I'm constantly looking at your behaviour as a validation whether you are into me or not.
Well,
and this is where I'm finding...
isn't that exactly what you're talking about then? That
absolutely.
being lost?
No, that's what I mean.
That's where you're headed. Yeah.
So I'm losing my own independence, my own sense of identity in this long-term relationship. So that's something that I do have that within me. I've said before that, you know, I don't really feel like that. I've always done what I wanted to do, but this is the place where where I do fall down, and I know that I, you know, through all the therapy and stuff that we've talked about, that I used to look for those signals with my mum growing up as a young boy, is, you know, looking for mum's validation, looking for dad's acknowledgement, and I'd watch their behaviour, you know, and that's I know that in our relationship that has crept in, where I'll just watch you like a hawk to see where you're at with regards to me and where I stand with you in our relationship.
Yeah, and even then though, there'll be times that you'll absolutely miss the validation that I am giving you, where you'll say, you haven't hugged me or touched me in weeks. And I'm like, well, what about like 10 minutes ago when I held your hand or rubbed your back, or, you know what I mean? There's been times.
Yeah, but I wasn't paying attention to that. Right. I did, but I was busy.
Oh, relationships are so confusing.
They are confusing, especially because we're coming from our own perspective.
Yeah.
You know, and if like...
And we're coming from our own wounds. What was that quote?
Wounds.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you just jumped over that, but we're coming from our own wounds.
Yeah. There was that, remember I read that quote out to you. I pulled it from the Instagram because I thought it was so good, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but it was, it's not that we have issues in relationship, is that we bring our childhood issues with us into relationship, and that's where you get to work them out. And sometimes we never work them out. Sometimes they tear us apart, or sometimes that's where the healing can happen. And that I think is very true. You know, not always, not every single issue. You know, I was just going to come up with some stupid thing. I don't know. I'm like, what can I say here? I'm like, no. I'm like, let's go back to you.
Well, I was actually
I'm
sitting on the front of my chair here waiting to see what you're going to say.
Oh God, no, I'm not even going to try. Though I do know that is the truth for me, and I know it is the truth for you, because we've talked for hours and hours about this. You know, what we learnt growing up and how that affects us in relationships. You know, not even romantically as well, but certainly with you and I the most. I think it has.
Yeah. And again, I'll bring his name up. Mark Manson in his Blue Book talks about being a child to an adolescent to an adult, and the child's behaviour is very much narcissistic about getting a need met, and when it's not being met, the tantrum that can come. And then as an adolescent, it's about a negotiation, and then with adulthood, it's about unconditional giving and receiving. You know, and it's a lovely analogy. And I definitely vacillate between the adult to the adolescent. Oh, sorry, the child to the adolescent, and then thankfully I feel way more in the adult world as a 50-year-old man. But it's been a long time
50?
coming.
You're only 50.
Okay, I'm 54.
You keep on dropping those extra years. I've noticed that, by the way.
Do you remember I was 42 for 7 years?
Yes. And then you decided to name yourself after a flower for a while.
No, I didn't.
Wasn't that you?
No, that wasn't me.
I don't know.
That was Suki.
Yeah, but I thought you thought it was a good idea.
I did. I thought it was a great idea.
I'm going to be 42 for 7 years. Oh, no.
Well,
Oh,
see, that's
your age.
again, right? That's another. Well, that's an aspect of it. That was Hollywood going. Yeah, he's 42's accept was. This is in my own twisted reality. 42 is this idea of he's mature. 50 was you're over the hill. A lot of people felt like that. So I was like, well, okay, I'll
think
just be
you
42.
felt like that.
Yeah, it was projection, totally. But again, it's do you, be who you are. Mm-hmm. Be proud of what you've learnt. And I plug that into myself. Constantly have to have that pep talk. And that's the same in that's my relationship to myself. And here we are in our relationship with each other.
Yeah.
We do it to ourselves and we do it to our partners.
Yep. And I mean, it still amazes me that after all these, because we've actually been together for 30 years, all together since I met you. And that you still wonder when I don't do a kiss emoji on the end, that you're still checking to see if I like you or not, almost. You know what I mean?
No wonder, you see, just like chill out, dude. Really let go.
You think you might know by now that I might be in for the long haul.
See, now you wonder why I went prematurely grey.
Worried about if I was going to leave you.
Yes. Yeah.
It keeps you on your toes, doesn't it? Those achy 54-year-old toes.
Yeah, we have to let those insecurities go, right?
Yeah,
we really do, because it's like, again, it's just, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, easier said than done.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Looking back,
yeah,
what would you do differently as a younger mother to maintain your identity?
Yeah, and I've thought about that over the course of recording this twice, and
it's so funny because here's me pretending like that's the first time I've asked it, and you've gone, yep, right. I'm like, I was about to stop it. I was about to stop it and go, honey, that sounded like you already knew I was going to ask the question. Well, funny about that.
Because what would I say to, how would I coach our kids, or what would my advice be to our daughters, or our son as well? And that would be,
because he has one big mother.
So what?
River.
Oh,
he's a mother, he's a young mofo.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm just going to shut up.
Okay.
I might even cut that bit out.
Okay.
Maybe I won't.
So yeah, because I think about what would I say to my daughters or our daughters and our son, and what would I say to myself if I could go back to my 21-year-old self. It really would be, keep what you love to do going. Don't give up on what you want to do, on what your passions are. I know we've said it before, what your passions are, what your interests are, and because that becomes part of your character, that becomes part of, probably the very thing that the guy fell in love with you, the guy or the girl fell in love with you for.
Yeah.
Is probably the things that you're passionate about. So in letting go of those, you do lose part of yourself. So it's, I would definitely tell myself, just remember to put yourself number one as well as everyone else. That is what I would say. Time machine, go back.
I don't know where I got this quote from, but it's basically sort of what you're saying, and it goes, how do I do this? Okay, sometimes love requires sacrifice, but no matter what, you can never lose everything that makes you, you. Your lovely self must stay intact, and remember that the most important thing, no partner who genuinely and deeply loves you will ever want you to be anyone other than yourself.
Yeah.
I just think that no partner who genuinely and deeply loves you will ever want you to be anyone other than yourself. So if you're in if you're in a relationship where someone's continually asking for you to change who you are, might be best to have a look at where you're at with that person and say, make a conscious choice.
Yeah, what about if you didn't realize personality traits before you got 5 years into the marriage or 3 years into the marriage, and you realize that this person is an actual liar, or this person is, chops the heads off small animals you didn't realize.
Like flies?
Hamsters. Like, imagine.
Well, yeah.
But you know what I mean. I know.
Well, people do change, though.
I know that's an
People,
extreme example,
yeah.
though. There's
obviously if there's
that,
violence attached,
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
just go, it's time to bail. But if I think with these subtleties and things, and this is where it's great to keep the community. Well, it's not only great. I think it's imperative that when you're in a long-term relationship, you have to keep the doors of communication open, and whether you can do it by yourselves or if you need a third party, do it. Utilize it so that you can continually stay on the same page, and then doing that, you have a way better chance at maintaining your independence and sense of identity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of independence, I think I need to go make dinner for everyone.
Well, why don't I do that tonight since you've spent a lifetime doing it?
It's been a lifetime of cooking.
Why don't we do it
dinners.
together? I want to put the music on.
Yes.
Go do it together.
What a great idea.
This was a really good idea, starting again.
Yeah, the first one sucked.
Yeah, but it's a great idea doing season 2 as well.
Sure, yeah. And again, remember, Facebook, Separate Bathrooms. That's the name of our Facebook page. It is public, it's up and running, and you can leave any comment that you like, really, or question, or story, or joke, or
Video.
Oh, all right, here we go.
Maybe we'll supply a few of those. Maybe.
Yeah, you playing golf and
Yeah,
swimming. And
because you'd love to see my
passions.
my golf swing,
That's
my
right.
passionate, my surfing. Yeah. All right. Till next time.
we are Separate Bathrooms. Ali Dano.
And Cam or Muttley. That's what I might be sounding like right now. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right,
on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Brooke Devard from Naked Beauty. Are you tired of feeling housebound? I sure am. Break free with the new Unbound cordless auto curler from Conair. It's a high-performance auto curler that's rechargeable and gives you up to 60 minutes of cord-free runtime. Just think of all of the incredible hair looks you can create in 60 minutes unbound away from your wall. Don't get tied down by cords. Love your look, live unbound. Check it out at conair.com and search Unbound.